My sister lied about having a dead twin brother for 10 years to gain sympathy from her husband, but when I accidentally exposed her at a family party, she accused me of being the liar. So, backstory. I am the eldest of 4 sisters. We're stair-stepped 2 years apart. I'm Meg, 38, Joe is 36, Beth is 34, and Amy is 32. Our parents used to joke about how they kept trying for a boy but finally gave up after girl number 4. Not gonna lie, it hurt our feelings a little, especially Amy, but they stopped that and assured us they wouldn't change anything. Then every one of us has at least one daughter. I am the only sister that has a son. At 17, he's the eldest grandchild, and I'm fairly certain he's my dad's favorite person in the world. They are best friends, it's adorable. And now that you have the backstory/family history, let's talk about tonight. So, my son, who is very intelligent and absolutely crushed high school, recently received his acceptance letter to a pretty prestigious university. Full ride. We are incredibly proud. My folks wanted to throw him a little congratulatory party tonight, and it worked for all of our schedules, which is no small feat for 4 different families with 11 kids between them, so we all headed to the folks' house for pizza and cake. At one point, Amy brought up that it is Sibling Appreciation Day, and Mom said she wanted all of her girls to say what we appreciate about our sisters, and we go youngest to eldest, with most of the compliments going to me, as I was kind of a second mom to them. I told each of my sisters how much I loved them, amongst other things, and then finished my speech off saying something like, "And I really appreciate that we didn't have any gross boys stinking up our house." And all of us but Beth and her husband were laughing. Beth's eyes got really big, and her husband, Chase, looked at me like I was something he scraped off the bottom of his shoe. And then suddenly he says, "That's pretty effed up." And I said something like, "I don't know, Chase, I've smelled you after your workouts, it's pretty bad." And he got even more mad and said, "How could you talk about Tyler like that?" And Beth starts losing her mind, guys. She's grabbing him by the arm and begging him to hush, saying they need to go home now, etc. So naturally, I'm like, who's Tyler? Well, friends, apparently Tyler is Beth's twin that died during childbirth. And it made our folks and me so depressed that nobody is allowed to speak of him or reference him ever. Beth forbade him from ever mentioning him to any family member. And after Chase told us this, nobody said a word. It was so damn tense. Finally, I just kind of bluntly said, "I'm not sure why Beth would lie to you about this. I think you guys should talk about it, but I don't want to hear anything else about this tonight as we're here to celebrate my son." And after that, Beth burst into tears and ran into her old bedroom, with Chase, Mom, and Joe following her. The party never fully recovered and they took off pretty shortly after that. I stayed behind to help clean, and so my dad and son could have more time to hang out. Then later, while I'm doing the dishes, my mom scolded me pretty harshly about calling Beth a liar. Well, if the baby shoe fits, mother, and my dad said I wasn't wrong, but I embarrassed Beth. And what the hell was I supposed to do? I was getting chastised over a lie. Absolutely not. Beth also texted me that I effed her over, and a text from Chase's phone told me I was the actual liar sister, and everyone knows that. Amy is on my side, but she and Beth have always butted heads. Joe claims that she is neutral, but she also told me I didn't have to call her out like that. But what the hell else was I supposed to do? Just take the lashing? And why is everyone acting like me calling out what I consider to be a pretty heavy lie is worse than the lie itself? How do we resolve this situation? I love my sisters so damn much. They are my best friends, but this is so weird and so wrong to put on me. Now here are some relevant comments. User 1 said, "I can't imagine any other response. I really can't. Were you seriously expected to lie along with her? I think that is shocking." So, I have no idea what she was expecting. I have lied and covered for my sister before, but this is not the same as all of that other stuff. About a person who's never existed? It's beyond bizarre. Then user 2 commented and said, "I'm kind of impressed that after all of that, she managed to convince her husband that you were the liar. Of course, if he still believes her, he's dumb as a brick, and I would think that there is proof enough of her birth certificate as it will state she was a single birth." Okay, so I will say Chase is not a dummy, and he's typically not malicious. And although nobody really backed me up about this being a lie, at least not in front of me, I think it's pretty obvious that I was telling the truth, as everyone else was obviously confused and dead silent in the moment. I have not responded to the text messages as I'm not looking to burn bridges. I've made many mistakes and my sisters have graciously forgiven me. I'm just flummoxed and a little hurt. Then user 3 said, "This is very weird. I'm confused at why your parents aren't embarrassed by your sister's behavior, especially trying to keep up the lie afterwards and saying you're lying. Is she mentally okay? Does she have a history of lying? So, we all lied as kids, but I assumed she grew out of it as an adult. We also exhibited some attention-seeking behavior, but again, age-appropriate, especially for a family with 4 kids and 2 parents who worked full-time. My parents are hippies and very much live and let live kind of vibe, but this feels icky to me. So I'm a little surprised they're not more upset about it. Then again, they never punished us in front of each other, so they could be dealing with or planning to deal with the situation behind the scenes. Either way, Beth is way too old to be making up dead sibling stories. Then user 4 commented and said, "Your sister dug herself in a weird hole and is now mad she has to dig her way out of it, and is placing that anger on you for accidentally handing her the shovel. If she wants to blame anyone for being caught in a lie, she can look in the mirror. How do you fix it? Your sister has to pull her head out of her ass and apologize for putting all of you in that position. And then you can think about apologize for being blunt about it. But to be honest, I don't feel like you did anything wrong exactly here. You had no idea what was going on, why you were being accused of being a bad person, and literally just wanted the focus back on your son's achievements. It's not like you accidentally spilled a secret you were supposed to keep. Your sister created this entire mess and should probably explain to you guys why she did it." I appreciate your input and kind words. And I don't like drama, so I find it just best to kind of stop it in its tracks. And my son, we recently got an autism diagnosis. He has what was formerly referred to as Asperger's, and it's messed with his head a little. He's always been so bad socially and really struggled making friends. As a result, his cousins got the bulk of the attention. He was really proud of himself, and I wanted him to remember this little get-together because it was all about him for once. Then user 5 commented and said, "OP, your sister is a freak weirdo. Making up a dead twin for what? Sympathy? Attention? She effed up, and everyone knows it. Why would anyone want to cover up her lie is beyond me. She made her bed. Let her deal with the repercussions of this outrageous lie. And question though, did or have your parents tried to set the record straight with her idiot hubby, or are they staying silent about this alleged twin baby that never existed?" So, when I told Chase she was lying, nobody backed me up, but I believe it was kind of obvious because nobody refuted my claims. That coupled with Beth frantically trying to get her husband to leave, Chase is smart. He can put 2 and 2 together. I mentioned in another comment that our parents never punished us, nor really got into it in front of us, so I would like to think they're handling things on that end behind the scenes and trying to appeal to my dislike of drama and empathy to get me to forgive her. And I don't find the lie unforgivable. I think it's bizarre and I don't appreciate it, but I don't think our relationship is over. I love her. I took her on her first date, took her and a boy to get ice cream and they held hands, and we had to lie to our parents about that one, and I helped take care of her when she was postpartum because Chase had to work. She's got my heart, you know? And then finally, user 6 commented and said, "So, just to be clear, you do recognize this level of a lie as a mental health disorder, correct? While I am not a therapist, this very much sounds like some strain of Munchausen's. Again, not a therapist, just therapy adjacent in training and work, so I have some familiarity, so get her some professional help. This isn't just a cry for help, this is a sign of a broken pain that requires professional help and maybe even medical interventions." So, I work in healthcare, albeit not directly in the mental health field, but I am a little familiar with various disorders. I actually do think she's a hypochondriac. One of my nieces is always coming down with something, they're not, or my sister definitely has Crohn's disease, she doesn't, and she won't drink milk if it's within 3 days of the Best Buy date, refuses bread pudding because you use old bread to make them, won't eat brownies because I baked them from scratch the day before because they're old. So, I know she's got some issues, but hey, we all have issues. I'm pretty emotionally closed off except to my spouse and children. Some people think that makes me a B word. I try not to be too judgmental because I'm definitely not perfect, but I'm judging the F out of this. Update, next day. So, I think we have some answers here regarding the events that occurred last night, and I do want to tell everyone who took time to give advice or kind words, thank you. I honestly couldn't read everything. I was, and still am, exhausted, but I did get an idea of how I wanted to approach everything thanks to the advice given. My post says it was removed and I'm unsure why, so hopefully this one will stay. But I will get to the update in a few, but I just wanted to answer some FAQ/comments real quick. 1. This is fake. I wish it was. I really wish in my mind it worked in a way where I could make things up like this. Alas, my imagination is lacking. 2. Your parents named you after Little Woman? This is probably partially to blame for the fake comments. They are just placeholder names I used, as there are 4 sisters in that novel. My parents are hippies and gave us some pretty noticeable names. If I used our real ones, on the off chance of any of our friends reading this, they would know immediately this was our family. 3. Beth is continuing to lie and Chase is believing it, and your mom and Joe threw you under the bus too. Well, Chase, I think he knew I was being truthful. Also, I said the text message came from his phone, but I was actually thinking Beth sent it, as that's not Chase's vibe. And about Mom and Joe, they didn't throw me under the bus, but I will go into more detail soon. 4. Is it possible my mom had twins and just forgot or didn't know about the death? Absolutely not. I was at all of my sister's birth. I don't remember Joe's, but I do remember Beth and Amy's, and there were no multiples, no deaths, no funerals, no depression. 5. The birth certificate will prove it. It sure would, yes, but I'm not about to try strong-arming my sister into showing her husband her birth certificate. 6. Your sister is mentally ill, also the golden child, and you're the scapegoat. I'm not about to say my sister is sick, but I do think she has some issues, as we all do. There's no golden child and scapegoat in this family. My parents were and are really good about treating us all fairly and equally. And finally, 7. You could have or should have been more tactful, pulled her aside, not called her a liar. Well, had I known that Tyler was my dead brother, I never would have asked who he was. Chase and I, we tease each other a lot, and I honestly thought he was about to come out with some sort of funny joke like "D's nuts." And regarding my lack of tact, I don't know, I think it's pretty lacking in tact to make up a whole dead sibling. And really, facts are facts. She lied, and that's that. The night was about my son, so I squashed the issue and chose to move forward, hoping to end the conversation with as little as drama as possible. And now I'm done. On to the update. So after a night of barely sleeping and my blood pressure dangerously high, I called my mom this morning fully ready to let out an emotional charged tirade about how I feel they unfairly threw me under the bus and took Beth's side when she objectively did the worst thing. My mom then answered the phone apologizing and asked me to just listen. What she and Joe did was follow Beth and Chase to Beth's room. Mom did tell Chase that Tyler was not real, and that this is an issue between her and Chase, and they should probably leave because she didn't want the evening ruined. She did, in her words, get on to me, but it was mostly out of sympathy and empathy for Beth, and she recognized it wasn't okay. She apologized for that. She spoke with Chase this morning, and Beth, who was the one who sent me the text message from Chase's phone, finally came clean this morning after hours of denying the lie. Now, something I did not mention as I didn't feel it was pertinent to the story is Beth's eldest daughter, Madison, isn't Chase's biological daughter. He's been around since Madison was 2. And also kind of pertinent is that Chase is a first responder. He loves to be a hero, and he's also very good in that role. He met Beth doing victims advocacy, and as such, I believe they both view him as saving Beth. This has been a long speculated thing, but it's not exactly our place to say anything. And we all love Chase. He is an amazing person. And Beth is no dummy. She picked up on Chase's hero complex immediately. It appears that in an effort to make herself look more sympathetic, vulnerable, broken, she lied about having a twin brother that died in childbirth. I guess being in an abusive relationship and having a small child just wasn't enough? She did not have to do that. They've been together for 10 years now and not once did she come clean. To me, that proves a clear pattern of deceit and manipulation. However, I'm not going to speculate on her mental health problems or reasonings for not coming clean. That is for her and her husband to deal with. Then, neither of them have called or texted me to apologize, and I'm honestly unsure if they will. Beth is more of the rug-sweeping type, which I'm a confront issues head-on type. I will not be cutting off my sister for this, though. I love her, and at the end of the day, I just want her to be happy and healthy. I do hope that this whole issue will cause her to rethink some of her life choices, and maybe she can get some therapy. I think we could all use therapy, to be honest. And that is where we are at right now. My mom did not offer any information about how Beth and Chase are doing, and I did not ask. It's not my business. I have not heard from Joe, but Amy and I have been texting all morning, and she is being my best good friend right now and providing a lot of support. Hopefully, we can all move forward and grow together in the future. And thanks again for the support that all of you have sent my way. Now here are some more relevant comments. User 1 said, "I'm glad your mother apologized, but your sister really owes you, and the entire family, an apology. This was a really selfish and weird thing to do. She also owes Chase and his family an apology, and I hope she gets some help for this. Good luck." Then user 2 commented and said, "So your sister could probably benefit from therapy. I will never understand why people think it's a good idea to lie about something so easily disproven. Don't lie about anything and you won't have situations blow up like this. I hope she comes to her senses and apologizes to you." Then user 3 said, "So I think your family needs to do a sit down with your sister because this isn't normal behavior at all. She lied for 10 years about a dead brother? Y'all need to call this behavior out since she's way too old to be acting like this. And doing nothing is showing her that you guys will accept similar or the same type of behavior in the future." And then finally, user 4 commented and said, "Well, this is why she continues to do this nonsense at her big-ass age. No one holds her accountable. You can't move forward and grow together if people don't take accountability. Your entire family enables her in the worst way." So, I have to say, I agree with those last batch of commenters right there. OP was saying, "Oh, well, we all have problems," which is fair, but what are y'all doing about it? To her credit, she did say they could probably all use some therapy, but I felt that she was a little too hands-off here if her intention is to have this behavior corrected or resolved or addressed. As she mentioned, she's the second mom to the other siblings. The parents have their own way of parenting, but I don't feel like if they continue with the course that they're going now, this behavior is not going to be corrected. It's just simply, oh, well, she got caught. Hopefully she'll look inwards. Y'all, she had 10 years to look inwards and she didn't do that. No way, no how, no, ain't gonna happen. So hopefully, maybe they address it head on, because otherwise I feel like she's just gonna keep doing what she's doing. But anyway, guys, feel free to comment what you think. We're at the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a really good day, and bye-bye.